Hey, Kyle's Wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's AEW Dark and Hey EW with RJ City, both reviewed. AEW Dark from July 12th, 2022. And we'll start with Hey EW. It comes out every Sunday. I saw this episode getting a lot of hype online. I got around to watching it on Tuesday, and this is how I always do the reviews. So if you're wondering what happened on BTE and Dark Elevation, definitely go check out my review from yesterday. A lot of good things happened. We've got an epic episode. This is about to be a really long review. I'm not only going to do the RJ City Hey EW, but it's a really big special episode of Dark. And then I've got a preview for Dynamite and Rampage for you. So we've got a lot to talk about here, a lot going on. Fyter Fest 2-week event, 4-night 2-week event is about to begin on Wednesday for Dynamite. So let's just get into it. Let's get right into Hey EW from this Sunday. The guest this time was Nyla Rose and Vickie Guerrero, so this should be pretty interesting. And we set the tone of this episode immediately in the first 10 seconds when RJ asks Nyla if she can keep the rattling from her bangle down, which is like a bracelet. Nyla takes it off and throws it at RJ. RJ just puts it on. Nyla's then talking into the camera, which weirded me out a little bit, like she was staring into my soul. Nyla then says, "Oh, this is that EU gross show that Danhausen told me about." That was decently funny. RJ then asks Nyla if she's in beast mode all the time. Nyla says, yeah. RJ then interrupts her, but Vickie liked what RJ was talking about. RJ then asks, well, what kind of cougar are you, Vickie? Vickie says, well, just in the bedroom, which was awkward and funny at the same time. RJ then asks Vickie if she's mentoring Nyla to be a cougarette, and RJ makes fun of Vickie's Karen hair without saying the word Karen. They talk about Golden Girls for a little bit. A funny joke came out of that, though, where they basically said, yeah, but Betty White was getting more action than you, RJ, which was funny. So RJ then asks if there's any benefit to not being champion anymore. Nyla Rose says, well, getting through the airport's a lot easier without the title belt. Nyla won't reveal how she writes her funny tweets. Then they make a few trans puns, which was decently funny. And then that gets it gets a little weird when they talk about taking 3 inches. Basically, all three of them were into it. Then the deadpanning and throughout this episode was pretty good, like really funny stuff that I can't really describe in words, but great comedic timing and acting throughout this. RJ has Vickie act out different ways that she can say "excuse me," like different situations. That was pretty funny. Then Nyla goes wild and starts yelling, and RJ says, "Well, you're not getting your bangle back." So Nia just intimidates RJ to give it back. He does immediately, and the show ends. So pretty short episode, unfortunately, but a good one. So I would like to see these go at least 10 minutes. I think a 10-minute show, once you go below 10 minutes, you're starting to think like, oh, is it even worth my it's hard to think that, it's hard to describe, but like for me anyway, when I see something that's only like, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes, it doesn't seem significant enough to even take the time. Whereas if it was 10, I'd be like, all right, I can invest 10 minutes on this. um I guess that's the same reason I don't really like movies. I don't like when things just, I don't like getting invested in a movie for 2.5 hours and then it just ends. And you might get a sequel in a year or two, or you might never get a sequel after that. The story might be dead forever, which is why I like wrestling. Even if companies fold, um, the sport continues. So anyway, let's get into it. It's a really special episode of AEW Dark. This comes from July 12th, 2022. Mark this day down in the history books if this is the start of a new change and a new era of AEW Dark. And I hope it was. So last night on Dark Elevation, it was announced that we will be getting 2 special matches on this episode of Dark on the 12th here. From one of them from Japan, one of them from the UK. So as well as the usual Dark matches from Universal Studios recorded a month ago now, which side note, they are going to be recording new episodes of Dark this weekend. So we'll have a new fresh episode of Dark from Universal Studios for next week. Anyway, this was awesome. So AEW was just going to tack on 2 matches that happened over this last weekend. The first one, Thunder Rosa versus Miyu Yamashita, which I was saying her name wrong last night. She's got that same, Miyu has that same Shita Takeshita has. So I'm starting to learn how things go. The same thing happened for me when Asuka came to WWE. Now every time I see someone with the name like Daisuke, I know it's not Dusaki or whatever. So I'm starting to learn here. Yamashita, and this will be from the Tokyo Joshi Pro Summer Sun Princess event that happened on Saturday this last weekend, and this will be an eliminator match for the AEW Women's World Title. So I was really looking forward to that. And then they tell us on Elevation last night it's going to be the first ever AEW All Atlantic title defense, which took place in the UK for Rev Pro. Pac versus Shota Umino, two guys that had fantastic nights at Forbidden Door. And I was definitely going to try and go out of my way to find this match because I had heard about this match happening at Rev Pro, and I just didn't have time to get around to it. It was my birthday this weekend, so I did go out and wasn't watching too much wrestling this weekend, especially because I knew G1's coming up. But here it is, glued onto. It ends up being the main event, the end of this AEW Dark. And then the beginning of the night starts with that Thunder Rosa Yamashita match. So great stuff. I hope this is. I really hope they do this more often for the matches and that AEW talent wrestles in other companies like they did for this episode. For example, there was a really good Lee Moriarty versus Konosuke Takeshita. Speaking of Asuka teaching me how to say like Ske, um, and Konosuke has both the Ske and the Shita in his name. So Konosuke Takeshita versus Lee Moriarty a few weeks ago at Prestige. I did go out of my way to watch that match, but it would be cool if I didn't have to go track down where to find these matches and stuff. If they just glue them onto whatever else they had from Universal Studios on AEW Dark. So I'm really excited about this episode. It ended up delivering big time. And I don't always have enough time to watch indie shows. I review like MLW, NWA, NJPW, and if I ever find more time, I'm gonna have to. I'm not. I really want to find time and add both Stardom and Tokyo Joshi Pro. So we'll see how that goes. I'll reassess things after G1. Anyway, um, since I don't always have time to go search those out, I would love for them to put some of these matches. Say Moxley goes and has a match somewhere, and we get to see that. And maybe the next week, Dante Martin versus Lee Moriarty happened in a different promotion. We get to see that. So that would be awesome going forward. I really hope so. This definitely freshens up a usually stale dark where we know it was like weeks or in this case a whole month ago that all those matches in Universal Studio were taped. I'm okay with not watching live wrestling, but it does become kind of a thing when it's like a month later, and that a whole bunch of things can happen in a month. Look at all the things that happened in the 1 month where we lost MJF, Daniel Bryan, and uh, CM Punk from AEW's television screens. So a lot can happen. So this definitely is going to freshen it up if this is something they do going forward. I hope this isn't just a one-time thing. I'm not expecting it to change by next week, but maybe the week after that they'll start it again. But it would be awesome if it's just this is going to be a regular thing and we can get at least one extra match where maybe I don't know, like anybody like Daddy Magic maybe goes and has a match, like that would be great. So let's just get right into it. We've got a long episode here since they've tacked it on to what they already had for Dark. And we're going to start with the AEW Women's World Title Eliminator match, Yamashita versus Thunder Rosa. This match took place Saturday, July 10th in Tokyo, Japan at the event Summer Sun Princess 22 for the Tokyo Joshi Pro promotion. Also wrestling on this event was many women that have had matches in AEW, including Aja Kong, Ryo Mizunami, Hikaru Shida, Mei Suruga, Riho, Maki Ito, and the magical girl Yuka Sakazaki. So this I really want to get. I wish I had time to review and watch both Tokyo Joshi Pro and Stardom. But just look at all the names that we get to see here in AEW from time to time. So it would be good to follow their home promotion. Miu and Rosa have been in the ring once before, back in 2019. It was a trios match in the same Tokyo Joshi Pro promotion. Thunder Rosa's team beat Miu's team in that match. So that was their only time meeting. A super cute woman is going to be the ring announcer for this match. Taz and Excalibur are calling a Tokyo Joshi Pro match. Like, what a time to be alive. Miyu Yamashita comes out with really cool music and a stone pit bull face look on her. Stone face killer kind of. She kind of reminds me of Diamante with that look. I have seen Miyu Yamashita a few times, and I think she was on Dark or Dark Elevation not that long ago. I'm pretty sure I saw her in AEW not that long ago. But yeah, Miyu is super focused for this match. A win will give her a future if she can beat Thunder Rosa here in Japan. That'll get a Miyu Yamashita an AEW Women's World Title match in the future, as this is an eliminator match. So the ring announcer woman sounds great with her entrances, great stuff. Thunder Rosa now comes out with her black cowgirl hat and a leather jacket with fringe. I always like when she's got that look. Pretty much any look that Thunder Rosa serves, as she serves it correctly. Rosa then tells the camera, "If you want this title, you got to beat me." So that's cool that Rosa's talking to us. She probably knew that this was going to have a good chance to be seen on Dark or something like that. They probably told her ahead of time. The ring announcer woman says La Mera Mera, which sounded amazing from the Japanese woman here. And the crowd cheers big time for Thunder Rosa. Miyu looks a little bit disrespected from that. But the Stone, I don't follow the Tokyo Joshi Pro promotion, but I would assume with that Stone Pitbull face that Miyu has, she's probably a heel in this promotion. Um, Mia looks disrespected, but still focused, and they shake hands before the start of the match. So here we go. AEW World Title Elimination match from Saturday, July 10th in Tokyo Joshi Pro in Tokyo, Japan. This is going to be great. And here we are seeing it on AEW Dark. So Miyu might have the slight size advantage, but if it is, not by much. Pretty evenly body sizes here. We see Aja Kong is going to do Japanese commentary, and Excalibur jokes that why didn't they show Taz and I after we traveled so far, and then we have to travel to Sheffield. So clearly, Taz and Excalibur are just calling the action from a studio, or even at home with technology how it is these days. But that was pretty funny. This match starts with some great grappling, catch as catch can style, my favorite style in the world. I love it. They reverse each other into different holds, showing great technical mastery here. Eventually, Miyu gets to the ropes to break it. No clean break from Rosa, though, who slaps the chest hard, and the crowd actually cheers this. So, all right, let's go. I see you, crowd. I see you, Rosa. Let's have an intense match here. So, they now quicken the pace after that, hit some running moves. The exchange was won by Miyu with an arm drag. Then now they square off again and have a striking exchange this time. So they've gone from agility, kind of lucha libre stuff just before this, and then they started with the catch as catch can. So now they go to the striking. Great stuff so far in this match. Rosa does a version of the Dustin Rhodes uppercut from her knees, and eventually out of this flurry gets a 2 count. A huge kick to the back of Rosa is answered by the same kick to Miyu. So both women are kicking here. They trade this over and over until Rosa hits a scoop slam for a 2. So Taz says, "Oh, that was kind of smart by Rosa not to continue trading kicks." Miyu's kicks were looking very nasty, and we're told if you by Excalibur throughout this match that Miyu is a kick demon. So Miu's selling is kind of awkward since she's always stone faced until she's selling. Then she has like super exaggerated pain face. So from going from one end to the extreme to the other is a little jarring. Miu then hits some nasty kicks for a 2 count. More kicks here. We've gone into second gear now, maybe even third gear. Really good match here. Good selling by Rosa now. We get some rapid kicks from Miu. Excalibur says Miu's finisher is the same black mass kick that Malachi Black does. So be on the lookout for that nasty spinning roundhouse kick thing. Miu then goes for some grappling, but then goes for a slam to Rosa. Rosa head scissors out of it though and hits a nasty looking drop kick to the outside on the Miu. Rosa then slams Miu back first into the apron, but Miu just no sells it, gets up, hits a running penalty kick to Rosa's face. That looked awesome. Miu then looks like a lot like Diamante now that it's mid-match. Definite Diamante vibes from Miu. Same persona basically too, it's just minus the gang stuff that Diamante has. So Miu then shows off her technical side when they get back in the ring, then goes back to kicks, but Rosa is able to dodge the high roundhouse kick. I'm not quite sure if it was the black mass, but it looked pretty devastating. Miu maybe made a mistake here and should have stuck with the grappling a little bit more. It looked like that was working, and when she went to the kicks, Rosa was able to dodge it because she was expecting it. Rosa now has control, hits two nasty drop kicks while Miu was seated on the ropes, just like how Saray does. If you didn't see the Saray on NXT UK last week, just absolutely destroying the face and head of Zaya Brookside, Robbie Brookside's daughter. Definitely go look up that gif at least. Devastating. Anyway, back to this match. Forearm exchanges now. Rosa will have to keep an eye on the feet as they do the forearms for sure. Rosa needs to make sure she doesn't get caught with the black mass roundhouse kick. So Rosa is able to roll through eventually and hits a double stomp. This was a good move for a 2 count. Rosa goes up to the top rope but eats a big, one of the best looking kicks of the match so far, from Miu right to Rosa's head while she was on the top rope. Great extension on the kick. Rosa then goes, puts it out of nowhere. Thunder Rosa pulls a golden mouthpiece out, puts the mouthpiece in her mouth, and invites more kicks to the head. So this was crazy. Miu then winds up for a massive. So Miu Yamashita just does like a pose and is able to like line it up exactly how she wants to. Remember, Thunder Rosa had just put a mouth guard in her mouth, and she's like, "All right, kick me!" This crazy kick demon. She's inviting the kick to her face. Crazy move here. I mean, crazy moment. And then Miu, just like I said, winds up, hits a nasty kick. The kick does connect. Rosa is pained by it, but she's able to grab Miu's leg out of this. Which was cool. Rosa fires back with a toe kick right after this. That looked a little bit below the belt actually. Um, that was like Miu got back up and then I missed something there. So when Miu got that exposed kick and Rosa was able to take her down, Rosa then hit a ton of strikes, but Miu gets right back up and then hits the biggest kick of the match so far to the head, then a pump kick, but Rosa just fires right back. That's when the toe kick, then a little bit below the belt or at the belt line. Rosa then picks up Miu and hits a Death Valley driver for a 2 count. The crowd gets loud on this one. They thought that might have been it. And now the crowd's chanting, but I can't quite tell what they're saying or which person they're chanting for. Rosa then hits rapid elbows to the back of the head. Miu blocks a Thunder Fire driver and hits a huge black mass kick, the spinning roundhouse kick. Rosa sells this perfectly, spinning around in a 180 and then slowly crumpling to the ground. That looked great. Rosa's able to just barely get her hand on the rope to break the pin. Deadlift German suplex by Miu now, who looks for the attitude adjustment, we're told by Excalibur. He calls it the attitude adjustment. So I'm guessing it just means it's a crappy version, a terrible looking version of the Death Valley driver. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, Rosa rolls out of this. That we never get to see exactly what it is. Rosa rolls through and then into a pin. Miu rolls through for a pin of her own and gets the 1-2-3. So I was even a little confused who won here, but your winner by pinfall and new number 1 contender to the AEW Women's World Title is Mayu Yamashita. Great match here. Glad that we got to see it on Dark. This could have happened and they could have just told us on Dynamite in a quick 10-second segment. So great stuff that they showed it on Dark. Miu surprised that she was able to win the match on that move there and show surprise. So then goes to celebrate, but Rosa shoves Miu in the back of the head. Thunder Rosa holds up the title high and they shake hands but look ready to fight. So can't wait for that match. I wonder when that's going to happen. Should be great when it does. They have plenty of left in the table after that roll-up finish, so we didn't get a decisive. I mean, you know what I mean. We could still see some more stuff between these two. Excalibur thanks Joshi Pro Tokyo Joshi Pro for allowing AEW to air this match, and I agree. So thank you, thank you, thank you. More of this, please. Um, Definitely. Just like I said, like Tokyo Joshi Pro allowed AEW to air this match for then we got to watch it. For me personally, I then went and looked at the card. Like I said, I told you all those people, all those women we've seen on AEW that were on this card, and it made me really want to start watching the promotion, which is exactly why it's a good thing to allow people to air a match like say let's just hype like say maybe Deanna Peraza went over there and then Impact wanted to air the match. You see what I'm saying? So like regardless of who it is, it's really good that people can share things and help things grow and make it be one big interconnected thing. And it does make me wonder because how New Japan being a big um partner with AEW feels about how because New Japan is they personally don't have anything to do with Stardom, but the owners of New Japan, the company that owns New Japan, also owns Stardom, and I'm pretty sure there's no working agreement between Stardom and Tokyo Joshi Pro. I think those are two of the biggest women's companies in Japan. So I'm not quite sure if All Japan Women is still running. I know that at a point that was the biggest company in the world going back to like the 80s and 90s. If you wanted to watch professional wrestling from the women, you had to go to All Japan Women's Wrestling. So and some of the other Japanese promotions as well. So I'm not quite. Maybe Tokyo Joshi Pro was spun out of that, or has been around since the 80s. I really haven't researched that, and I would love to learn more. I'm definitely very interested in the women's professional wrestling companies in Japan. I just it's so hard to fit it into, especially when I'm trying to keep an eye on. I don't watch any independents, but I'll watch MLW and NWA to kind of keep an eye on some of the people outside of the mainstream as well as all the people, the local talent we get to see on Dark and Dark Elevation. So um, I'm doing my best to keep an eye on just about as much as I can and still have to go to work, and have a living. If I can start making money where I off of this channel or something, then yeah, I could maybe potentially quit my job, do this full time. It's almost already full time, but I would love to then just add Tokyo Joshi Pro and Stardom to the list of things, and then maybe even Noah and All Japan, who could get really crazy at that point. So anyway, let me get a quick drink. But we're going from Tokyo, Japan, to Orlando, Florida now for the Orlando. I mean, the Universal Studios, the normal dark we would have had if it wasn't for the fact for these two special matches. So let me get a quick drink. All right, so now we're in Orlando, Florida, and oh my God, is that Private Party? So Private Party make their entrances. We haven't seen them in a while. We haven't seen much of Private Party lately. They make their entrance. They've got a 29-20 tag record in AEW, and we last saw them on Elevation last month. Their last match on Dynamite, however, was losing to Eddie Kingston and John Moxley back in May. So Private Party really haven't even been wrestling on the indies either. So I wonder what's maybe they were nursing some injuries or something, or just going for some more special training at the factory, or I'm not quite sure. But good to see him back here. Their opponents will be Bear Country, who have a tag record of 16-9, and that is so Private Party is Isiah Kassidy and Marq Quen, and Bear Country is Bear Boulder and um Bear Bronson. Sorry, Bronson. Um, Private Party have fought Bear Country once before, back on the third ever episode of Elevation back in March of 2021. Private Party won that match. So we've seen Bear Country a little more often recently than we have Private Party, but not and even on TV, but um, not exactly good showings from Bear Country, losing to the Acclaimed and the Gun Club twice in only a matter of minutes alongside Leon Ruffin. So not exactly strong showings, even though Bear Country's been featured on Dynamite and Rampage more often than Private Party has lately. So last week on Dark, Bear Country had a little bit better luck than they had recently. So let's see if they can keep this dark streak going. Quinn's beard is now dyed blue. Remember, it was like kind of blonde or white before, and now Marq doesn't. It's just as ridiculous looking as it was the other way, but now he doesn't look like a 60-year-old man with like a gray beard. So I like the blue way better. It's just, if you wanted ridiculous, it's still just as ridiculous without looking like he's an old man. So Isiah Kassidy and Bear Bronson will start this match, and Taz is super funny in this match, just like every other Bear Country match that Taz calls. Taz says if Bronson gets if Bear Bronson gets in any better shape, he won't really be a bear anymore. And then Excalibur says, "Well, what would he be then? An otter?" So if you know, you know, and if you know, that's pretty funny. They try. Taz maybe asks like a little bit more questions about, oh, what are bears and otters in the same family? And Excalibur hilariously says, like, you're just gonna have to go look it up on your own. I can't talk about it here. So that was pretty funny. Isiah then dodges an attack, but gets caught in the corner. Weirdly, Bronson lets Isiah out of the corner without any attack. So I'd be yelling mad if I was Bear Boulder on that one. Why are you letting them out? Bear Bronson then hits some big chops. Big spine buster by Bear Bronson, who then does the shots dance weirdly, the and the crowd chants shots alongside with the dance. That was awkward looking, and the announcers think so too. Isiah was able to tag in Marq now, but Marq gets scared when Bear Boulder now tags in. Terribly contrived counter by Marq on Boulder. It was like Boulder just barely went in for an attack. So unless the story, which it might have been, the story might have been Boulder want purposely grappled weakly to give Marq a false sense of security. Then Marq locks in a headlock, and Boulder just easily picks him up. So it might have been on purpose, but either way, didn't look great. Then we get Taz saying yam bags in this episode of Dark, as if it couldn't get any better. We get Taz saying yam bag twice here, where instantly sends this Dark um, episode into like legendary status. So when Marq goes to leapfrog over a standing Boulder, Boulder just puts his arm up, basically low blows Marq while holding on to him in the air, and Taz calls it oh, it's the rare yam bag lift. And Marq screams, and his high pitched screamed after this yam bag lift. But Excalibur ones up Taz potentially by calling it a double Boulder holder from Bear Boulder. So Taz pops huge on that one, then laughs. They're just on fire this whole episode pretty much, but this match in particular, Taz and Excalibur are. So big strikes by Boulder now makes Marq's collapse to the ground. Bronson tags in, does the shots dance again while having Marq in a headlock. It was 10 times more awkward the second time. You can get away with it once, but it was way more awkward this time. And Marq now dodges an attack. Isiah dodges too and grabs the leg of Bronson. So Bronson tried to hit Isiah on the apron. Now we go from this to a poorly executed silly string, but Bronson's able to kick out. That didn't look very smooth or good at all. Very contrived. Private Party uses quick tags to isolate Bronson in the corner now. Bronson is about to fight back, but Marq rakes the eyes to keep control. Isiah now tags in and he keeps Bronson isolated. This lasts for a while. Isiah is now working over the knee after a lot of isolation in the wrong corner by Bronson. Bronson definitely is going to be has his knee hurting for the rest of this match. So Taz and Excalibur are rare form in this match. You have to watch this match just for Taz and Excalibur alone. Bronson now fights back, striking both men. The crowd is dead. So Bronson's making his huge comeback. Zero cheers from the crowd. A little sad on that. That's a little depressing. Bear Bronson then tags in Bear Boulder, and Boulder hits the big scoop slam on both men. Then a corner splash on both at the same time. Boulder then catches both men at the same time, one on his back, one on his in front of him. We saw this move last week. This was just as cool. It was a fall away slam and a Samoan drop at the same time. And both times we've seen it now in back-to-back weeks. Looked amazing. But it does give me flashbacks to Rick Boogs at WrestleMania this year, where he caught both Usos at the same time and ended up blowing and tearing his quad. So hopefully that never happens to Bear Boulder, but that's all I think about every time I see somebody lifting both opponents up at the same time, or just two opponents up at the same time. Bronson then hits a black hole slam, looked pretty good. Oh wait, no, I skipped a little bit, so my apologies. After that, we saw a last week. Oh wait, no, but it um Boulder tags in the Bronson, despite Bronson like not even be able to put weight on his knee. So then they're gonna try and do the backpack, um, double cannonball senton, where Bronson gets up on Boulder's back, but Marq's able to stop this. It took him a while since Bronson couldn't walk. With a super kick to Boulder, Marq stops it. Bronson then hits the black hole slam on Marq. Bronson signals for the bear bomb, but Bronson's way too slow getting up the ropes, so Isiah just hits a springboard cutter while Bronson's now on the shoulders about to do the bear bomb. And that was a great looking move. We get a wild dive to the outside now onto Bear Boulder by Isiah Kassidy, then a shooting star press on Bear Bronson by Marq Quen for the 1-2-3. Your winners by pinfall are Private Party. Decent match here. Glad to see these two teams got some length to their match, but way too many contrived looking spots to keep it from being any good. And they made Bear Country definitely look stupid with like tagging in the guy that can't walk and then having him take forever to do moves and then still kind of trying to do the moves anyway. So didn't really help Private. It doesn't even really help Private Party that much in that win, because it just made it look like, well, Bear Country was kicking their butts, but then Bear Country was dumb. So um, definitely the only good thing about this match really was Taz and Excalibur, and it makes it worth a watch just to listen to them. So Captain Shawn Dean makes his entrance next. He's got a 7-1 record in 2022 and an 11-45 record overall. Another guy that's been tearing up the indies this year. We haven't seen too much of Shawn Dean or his partner Charlie Bravo. But Shawn does have 3 Dynamite victories this year, 2 of them against MJF and 1 over Shawn Spears. So don't forget that. Captain Shawn Dean's opponent here will be Conan Lycan. Conan Lycan does not have a cagematch.net profile, so I have no info on him. This is Conan Lycan's AEW debut. He's got a good look to him. He's got some size, some tattoos, long hair, but his one white kick pad where the rest of his gear is black, including the other kick pad, is super annoying to me. It was just made my head hurt looking at it. Anyway, Shawn Dean has new gear as well. It's long pants that look both like Captain America and the Chicago flag at the same time. Really cool pants. Conan then has like a little butt flap where he has like his war banner or whatever to go with whatever gimmick Conan has. Kind of like a Conan the Barbarian, I guess. So Conan Lycan uses his size early with a shoulder tackle, but Shawn quickens the pace instantly with some great offense, including a really high drop kick. Conan rolls to the outside and botches the next spot. So Shawn leaps to the outside where Conan's going to catch him. So Conan does catch Shawn Dean, but then crumples to the ground immediately. And Excalibur actually laughs at Conan Lycan, which was pretty funny. It was harsh, but still funny. But to Conan's credit, he was able to just stand up and while holding Shawn, and then they hit their planned spot, which was Shawn reversing a move to send Conan Lycan's head into the ring post. So Shawn now looks annoyed and gets caught in the ring with another um, in the same position. So he's caught again by Conan. Conan looks like he's about to hit like one of those Roderick Strong backbreakers out of that position, but at the end transitions it into the end of days from Baron Corbin of all people. It was a little clunky on the execution, but a good idea for a move if done correctly, if you can time that correctly. Shawn Dean kicks out of this, which was a good kick out for Shawn Dean because that was a big high impact move. Taz then tells us that Conan Lycan's from Albany, New York, so at least we've got a tiny bit of info on him here. Conan then works a chin lock and gets the crowd to rally behind Shawn. Shawn then escapes and then blocks a move to get in some back elbows. Then a nice wraparound DDT like The Rock does by Shawn. Shawn then goes into the corner into the 3-point stance like in American football, charges out for the big shoulder tackle exactly like Hacksaw's Jim Duggan. So a back-to-back legend moves here, The Rock on one, and then Hacksaw Jim Duggan of all people on the second. Conan Lycan kicks out at 2 on this one. The crowd's cheering on Shawn Dean to end this match. Conan shows great agility for his size now, flipping over the back of Shawn Dean, then hitting a Blue Thunder Bomb. Not a really good one, but it wasn't terrible either. But the flip over showed great agility. That part looked great. Conan then getting to showcase himself in this debut match, so that took me out by a little bit of surprise here. Conan now takes a little too long going to the top, but then shows again great agility for his size, rolling for a four. He went for a 450 splash, which I guess probably was never going to hit its target, but he still showed good agility to roll right through it. Conan did, but Shawn Dean just gets right up, hits a big time shotgun drop kick. Shawn then goes up to the top and hits the salute splash for the 1-2-3. So your winner by pinfall is Captain Shawn Dean. Way better match than I expected here, and I'm sure we're going to see Conan Lycan again soon since they gave him a showcase here. I don't think the botches are going to. I think there's enough here to something to work with and invite him back for more dark tapings. So hopefully we'll see Shawn Dean and Charlie Bravo in the tag division on TV soon. Definitely, they've both been tearing it up in the independents, and I think they're ready for TV. All right, in the back now, Lacey Nair, the interviewer woman, is with former X Division champion Rohit Raju, who has had a few matches in AEW before on Dark. So Lacey says, last time we saw you, you picked up a big win. So Rohit gets a little promo time here, and Rohit Raju says, look who it is, the mocha-skinned manimal himself. And and I know you numbskulls are thinking, who's this guy? But those of you in the know are thinking it's about damn time. He does a pretty cool Jay-Z style intro for himself here and then says, Baron Black, it's you and me tonight. And I'm going to prove to you and everyone that I'm a walking bag of money. And when I'm done with you, you'll be a walking bag of suffering, which the walking bag of money line was good, but the walking bag of suffering, terrible line there. He keeps going on by saying, because I am Rohit Raju. My mother called me son because I shine like one. And then in a foreign language, I don't want to guess which one, Rohit says, I am the sun in his foreign language, in his local language, I should say. My apologies. That match will be later, and I have some big info about that match when we get to it. So I'm looking forward to that one. Good to see Baron Black back in AEW. He's had 49 matches in AEW, and wait till you hear his record. So anyway, we've got a tag match next. Daddy Magic Matt Menard, Cool Hand Angelo Parker out next. They've got their own music, which does sound pretty good, but sadly, for whatever reason, it doesn't open with the um, entertainers line from that Jericho has on Judas. So I don't know why they wouldn't have that line for their music too. It's Daddy Magic saying the line for crying out loud. So anyway, if you want to call them 2.0, which I don't think that's their name anymore, but 2.0 has a tag record of 11-3 in AEW. Their opponents will be Midnight Tribe, and this is Jake St. Paul and Sage Scott. Jake St. Paul was a regular on Dark during the pandemic and hasn't been seen on AEW since last September. Jake St. Paul has a record of 0-15 in AEW. Sage Scott, his partner here for Midnight Tribe, has a record in AEW of 0-6. He was last seen on Dark in March, losing to Lance Archer. And Midnight Tribe has a tag record of 0-3 in AEW. So as the bell rings, 2.0 attack both men immediately from behind. They never take off their Jericho Appreciation Society vest, and they hit a double team DDT, spike DDT to get the 1-2-3 in a 10-15 second match here. Your winners by pinfall are Jericho Appreciation Society, Daddy Magic then yells into the camera, "We don't get paid by the hour. This was a statement victory, no doubt about it." Daddy Magic is so good at talking. If you didn't see his promo from last week on Dynamite, go look that up. So great stuff. The match obviously not great, and I didn't like that they didn't have their intro on the music, but just getting to hear Daddy Magic talk there was worth the 1 minute segment. So we got a really interesting one here. Bear with me. I get to use my you're probably not going to find many people in the world that know as much about NXT and the Performance Center in WWE than me. So I can bring you some expertise on this one. So Willow Nightingale comes out and makes her really fun entrance. She's got the whole crowd in the palm of her hands as soon as she comes out through the curtain. She comes in with a record of 2-11, but is 2-2 in her last 4 matches. And those two losses in the last 4 matches both involve Jade Cargill. So Willow Nightingale has been improving, getting more respect and more wins. She when she comes out, the announcer says, weighing in at exactly the right amount, which is pretty clever, and I love that. That's pretty funny. I love when the announcers have little quirks to do. Like my favorite one might be, you guessed it, Frankie Kazarian. Like there's no reason for the "you guessed it" there, but I love that Willow Nightingale's billed at being weighing exactly the right amount. So Willow Nightingale. So this is the part that's interesting here. Mila Moore. Now the name Mila Moore might not mean anything to you, but right when I saw the name Mila Moore, I knew who it was because I follow her on Twitter. This is Mila Milani from the NXT Performance Center, and she never actually made it to TV. She never debuted. I've never seen her wrestle. So this is Mila Moore, formerly Mila Milani in NXT, but never made it on TV. Um, I even had Mila created and all ready to go for my WWE 2K Universe mode. And I had her in a tag team with Sophia Cromwell named Material Girls, since they had formed their own team, hashtag Material Girls, just from me looking at their Twitter. So Sophia Cromwell didn't get fired, but we've never seen her wrestle yet either. So again, Mila was never on TV, but before I could even start my universe, Mila was released alongside about 15 others at the end of April from NXT. So I've never gotten to see Mila wrestle, so I was pretty excited for this match. So let's see what's going on. Mila Moore has pretty good looking gear here, probably from when she was going to debut on NXT, but never got a chance to. Mila is from Long Island, we're told from Taz, which tells you she's probably got a pretty good chance of getting signed at some point by AEW. They seemingly sign everybody from Long Island. There's about 12 people on the roster from Long Island. It's not just MJF. There's like Tony Nese, Chris Statlander. I think maybe even 10, but I know for sure Max Caster is, and I know I'm forgetting others. But Long Island is definitely represented hard in AEW. So we got another one here. I was looking forward to this. Like I said, I've heard of and been following on Twitter Mila Moore for a while now, but never seen her wrestle. Mila's super skinny, and she's given up a lot of size in this match. So let's see how that affects things. Taz says there must be a boat that travels from Long Island to Orlando for. There's been other women. I think who was the one I was going? Hey, she had good boots. I can't remember her name though. Anyway, Mila then works some basic grappling, very beginner style at grappling, but Willow slams her down at the start of this match. Mila looks super scared as Willow's about to hit her with that crossbody from the seated position. I don't blame Mila, but still kind of funny to see a wrestler so scared to take a move here. And that sets the tone for what we're about to witness from Mila. So remember, Mila was fired from NXT after never making it to TV in a match. So I was really interested to see what we're going to get right away here. Mila showing that she looks absolutely scared out of her mind to be in the ring. So let's go through the rest of this match. So Willow then hits a corner attack and a fisherman suplex. Mila shows a little bit of toughness by at least kicking out of this. Mila then counters a move, hits a nice looking pump kick, but apparently everyone can hit pump kicks in wrestling. Mila then cartwheels out of an Irish whip. Willow cartwheeled out of an Irish whip, which looked pretty good. Then tries to hit an enziguri and like it wasn't meant to miss, but Mila was too scared and bumped too early, so the Insiguri actually missed. This has to be one of Mila's first matches ever. Mila then pops up with no facial expressions and gets knocked down again. Willow then has a really weird looking slam, again awkward on this offense. So I'm all for people training and getting better and all that. But this match does absolutely nothing to make Willow's offense look good. And that's the entire point of this match, is for Willow's offense to look good. That's the entire point of a squash match. Anyway, Mila then is able to block the Doctor Bomb and hits a god awful looking backstabber. End this match now, please. This is ridiculous. Mila then slaps Willow in the face and hurts her own hand. And then Willow gets mad. We see a different side of Willow than we've ever seen or usually see here. Willow then hits a big pounce, but again, it looked like absolute trash because Mila can't bump. Willow hits a cannonball senton in the corner, and then the Doctor Bomb, the gut wrench sit down power bomb for the 1-2-3, and your winner by pinfall is Willow Nightingale. Mila couldn't even roll out of the ring in time for Willow to celebrate. I respect Mila a lot for not giving up on wrestling after NXT, but she needs some proper training, or she's going to hurt herself or others in the ring. Hopefully we see Mila down the road again and she's improved. But yeah, again, don't, just because stuff like this happens doesn't mean you should be going and taking my words and then going and tweeting Mila that she's terrible and trash and all that kind of stuff. That is unacceptable. People like Shotzi have had to delete her Twitter after the Money in the Bank match where Shotzi had a couple botches. So I'm not saying go attack the woman. But yeah, that was disgusting to watch. That was absolutely terrible to watch. Let's just move on. But the crowd did love Willow. Like I said, Willow had the crowd in the palm of her hands from the moment she came out, and we need more Willow on TV, please, and women in general. So the next match is a very interesting one, as Rohit Raju is going to take on Baron Black. And Baron Black has a nasty 0-49 record in AEW. So he's going to look to see if he can keep it going, 50 straight losses. Baron has been spending most of 2022 improving a lot all around the world. I've been keeping an eye on him. Baron has had only 3 matches in 2022 now. So Baron Black is 0-49, but only 3 matches in AEW for 2022. And in the meantime has been improving all over the world. So in different matches. So even though Rohit Raju isn't signed to AEW, this will be a tough test for Baron Black. Rohit Raju is a former Impact X Division champion, comes in with a 1-3 AEW record since leaving Impact in December. But don't forget, Rohit had a promo before the match, so this is not looking good for Baron Black. Poor Baron Black. So anyway, this is their first time meeting in the ring. Rohit Raju comes out this somewhat generic music. I was hoping for something a little bit better, especially after his big Mocha, Manimal, and Sun stuff earlier. I was hoping for a big, cool song here. Maybe he'll still, this isn't his final song, but Dasha says the line about the mother and the son for Rohit's entrance. That was pretty cool. Like I was saying earlier, I like when they have special things on their entrance. In the ring already is Baron Black. Hilariously, AEW chose to show Baron's 2022 singles record instead of his overall record. So AEW showed you that, oh yeah, here's Baron Black. He's got a singles record of in 2022 of 0-1. But yes, Baron Black is 0-49 overall in AEW, looking to avoid losing his first 50 matches. So the crowd is chanting Baron, who has wrestled on Dark a lot. So Baron is getting huge cheers from the crowd here. It starts the match off with some great grappling, really good grappling compared to that last match. This is already a good palate cleanser after that last abysmal match. Baron hits a Manhattan drop into a discus lariat. That looks really good. Taz and Excalibur are now making fun of West Virginia, saying last time AEW had a show in West Virginia, there was only 2 Uber drivers in the city, and those 2 Uber drivers were on a constant shuttle ride loop between the arena and the hotel, which is pretty funny. So they were making fun of West Virginia and said hopefully they got some more better infrastructure or whatever. So Rohit is now fighting back with some big strikes and a decent looking face buster into a lariat. Crowd's now rallying behind Baron again, who dodges a roundhouse kick. Then Baron hits some pretty good looking European uppercuts, tons of snap and impact on him. So awesome stuff here by Baron Black, who's definitely improved over the last year or so. Baron then hits a great looking slam, then floats over immediately into a crossface. Again, good stuff. Rohit Raju that counters this with a pin, and then when that doesn't work, hits a high knee, a broski boot, and a cannonball senton all in quick succession. Rohit then goes up to the top rope, hits the diving stomp for the 1-2-3. And the winner by pinfall is Rohit Raju. And poor Baron Black goes to 0-50 in AEW, but looked much improved. And those European uppercuts were nasty. So it's only a matter of time before we see Baron Black pick up a win. Interesting stuff again in this next match. So it's just kept delivering tonight, because even that Bear Country versus other than the Mila match was almost so bad, at least had gave me like something to talk about here. But just everything had at least something interesting going tonight. So Angelico comes out next, and it's good to see him again. And I can't help but see every time I see Angelico, I picture him leaping off of Dario Cueto's office in Lucha Underground. So every time I see him, Angelico, it's like it always puts a smile on my face. But Angelico sadly has new music. The old music is gone. And this makes Taz immediately say, when we start hearing the new music, Taz goes, "What the heck?" And then it starts like a slow Beatles song, almost like something that Matt Sydal would come out to, with like a slow beat and guys going like, but then there's like really bad white rapping, like terrible YouTuber rap behind it. Although I'm a guy that only likes rap from the 90s and early 2000s, the noughties, as the British would call it. But yeah, it sounded terrible. So Excalibur says, "Let's lay off so we can hear the new song." So they stay quiet. Excalibur and Taz then seemingly love the new song. I guess it's fine, but the old one was perfect. Excalibur's really putting the music over, though, as something that we've never heard someone walk out to a fight before, which I guess he's got a point there. I've never heard bad YouTuber rap for someone's fight music. Anyway, Angelico's opponent will be Logan Easton LaRoux, but they only call him Logan LaRoux, who has a 0-2 AEW record. He's a 31-year-old from Virginia, 12 years as a pro. We last saw LaRoux losing it to the Men of the Year on Elevation in January. He also lost to Tony Nese on Elevation in November. So Logan LaRoux just recently won the UEW Continental title, and LaRoux was also in Shikara from 2014 to 2019 as Race Jackson and Blank. So you guys might recognize him, or like some of his movements, because he was wearing a mask, I'm sure, in Shikara. So Angelico then has the length and the height advantage in this, but it's about even in the weight. Angelico uses a catch-as-catch-can style to frustrate and take down Logan at the beginning here. Taz and Excalibur are hilarious again in this match, just going crazy on different things. Logan then shows that he can grapple too, getting out of Angelico's holds with some good technical stuff himself. Angelico doesn't want to get up. He wants to keep it on the mat, but Logan's not buying it, and that was smart by Logan there. So Angelico has to get up. Then they exchange waist locks back and forth for a little while until Angelico hits a big elbow. Then they each dodge multiple strikes after this until Logan hits a running forearm. Pretty good looking. Logan, just at a glance, kind of looks like a young Bryan Danielson. Logan then hits a nice rolling spear. That was a good looking move for a 2 count. The crowd's now rallying behind Logan as he hits another nice move, but Angelico counters a top rope drop kick smoothly into the Navarro death roll. Basically, it looks like a trailer hitch combined with an ankle lock. This makes Logan LaRoux tap out. Your winner by submission is Angelico. And that match ruled. I could have watched about 20 more minutes of that match. I hope we see more of Logan LaRoux again soon. And Angelico does an extra wild dance to his new music after the match. This dude definitely lives inside a world inside of his own head. And usually, I mean, like, he seems like the coolest guy in the room. Nothing phases him. So anyway, um, next match, we've got Nick Comoroto versus Dante Martin. This should be an interesting one. We saw Dante Martin last night on Dark Elevation throw down another great match. Let's see if he can do it again here against Nick. Like I said yesterday, every time Dante Martin makes his entrance, he makes the crowd instantly go electric because they know no matter who Dante Martin is fighting up against, they're going to see some spectacular moves. So these two have been in the ring before twice, both on Elevation. In April, Top Flight beat Comoroto and Solo. And then in January, Dante Martin, Lee Moriarty, and Matt Sydal beat Nick, Solo, and QT, the trios match. So Nick Comoroto comes out first. He's accompanied, of course, by Aaron Solo and QT Marshall of the Factory. Nick has a 22-37 record. Nick is his super like vaudeville-esque mannerisms. I don't mean the tag team. I just mean like old timey. He's almost like a live action Muppet, especially with that hair. Um, it's just at least it's different. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm not annoyed by it, but nor am I like amazed by it. It's just kind of there, but it does make him different. So Nick Comoroto's out. Dante Martin comes out next, accompanied by Matt Sydal. Dante has a 42-28 record overall in AEW. Great stuff. QT on the mic now says Dante cuts Dante's music short. QT says I've got something to say. Dante, I told you once and I'll say it again, but you're listening to a guy that preaches peace, love, and that you're listening to a guy that preaches peace, love, and pro wrestling. All that's a bunch of crap. So Dante, good luck tonight. And Matt, watch what a real coach does. So interesting there. Not very even though I kind of stumble over my words, it was still cut with better charisma than QT there. Dante's so right as the bell rings, Nick hits a cheap shot from behind, of course, but Dante's able to dodge a corner attack right after this and hit a couple of kicks. Dante then springboard into the ring, but the much larger Nick Comoroto catches him. If you don't know that, this is like 3 times Dante Martin's size. So this is the classic David versus Goliath, strong guy versus quick guy. Dante springboards into the ring, but Nick catches him. Dante gets out without harm and then drop kicks Nick right out of the ring. Nick catches a dive to the outside by Dante and throws him right into the stage wall. If you've ever seen the Universal Studios setup, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The little where when you make your entrance, you instead of just walking straight down a ramp, you kind of have this stage where you go and do a quick pose while they introduce you, and then you walk down, and then you like kind of turn to the side and then walk downstairs. So a little bit of a weird setup. Anyway, Nick Gorilla Press slams Dante back into the ring. Sadly, not over the top rope, only through the middle rope, which didn't look impressive whatsoever. Nick then dives into the ring, assisted by the rope for an elbow drop. That was a good looking move, almost like a lucha style move out of Nick Comoroto here. That looked cool. Nick then slows the pace way down and starts to wear down Dante now. That's the pace he wants for sure. Nick Comoroto being the much larger man. He's trying to take the air out of Dante Martin now, out of the super athlete's lungs, and Nick Comoroto trying to take some of that stamina advantage away from Dante. Solo now takes a cheap shot while the ref wasn't looking. Of course, that's the factory style. Taz gets mad that Dante would have the audacity to wear the blue and black colors of the factory while facing a factory guy. And thank you, Taz. I hate that every time. Why can't guys talk beforehand and say like always have 2 different gear colors to choose from? So Dante could have changed into like green. You know, we've seen him with many other colors, but I think I've seen him in the green one for sure. But I think there's red as well. Anyway, good point there by Taz. Nick's now hitting some good offense to slow for a slow big guy. Really good heel slow big guys. Heat spots usually aren't that exciting, but Nick Comoroto's doing a good job here with some good moves. Right as I say that, however, Nick comes down with some of the fakest looking moves of this entire show, and we watched that terrible. We watched pretty much the Bear Country had so much contrived stuff, and then the terrible bumping, non-bumping by Mila. So This was two back-to-back fakest looking moves of the show. Nick Comoroto standing above Dante Martin, who's on all fours with his back, so a leg on each side. Nick jumps up twice to crash down into Dante's back, but both times it missed Dante's back or any part of his body by a mile. Looked terrible. I think Dante realized after the first one when Nick did the second one. I'm pretty sure I did not see Dante sell whatsoever, which is good. But terrible by Nick there. He was having a good match up to that point, though. And that doesn't even seem like that hard of a move to execute. I've never been in the ring, so I don't know, but it doesn't seem like the hardest move in the world. Anyway, let's move on. Nick Comoroto tries a third attempt on this terrible move, but gets caught this time. I mean, Dante dodges it, but then gets caught immediately again by Nick Comoroto. Nick hits a spear into the corner and a big Beal. The crowd's now alternating chants between "Let's Go Dante" and "QT Sucks," where QT has an ongoing rivalry with this dark Universal Studios crowd because the factory's always on these dark shows, and where QT now has made the same crowd hate him for like over 2 years, I think. So Dante then knees his way out of a backbreaker submission hold, and then Dante head scissors to counter the next move, but Nick hits a knee. But just a little bit after that, Dante gets his boot up the counter again. Good little flurry. I had a little trouble explaining that, but good little flurry there. And Dante dives out of nowhere, just dives out of the ring onto Aaron Solo. And again, good looking move. Dante immediately then hits a missile drop kick back into the ring on Nick. This is an awesome match, other than that little bit of botch by Nick Comoroto. Dante now hits a roundhouse kick, but Nick is able to catch a springboard crossbody as Nick turns into a really nice looking Ushi-Giroshi neck breaker. Nick's now signaling for the end. He hits the first part of his finisher, the water wheel drop, where he backs into. He gets the opponent into what looks like a Alabama slam, but then slams them back of the head first into the turnbuckles first. So Dante gets the first part of that, the slamming into the turnbuckles part, but Dante is able to hold on to the ropes to block the move. And Dante counters the next move into a roll up for the pin, 1, 2, 3. And your winner by pinfall is Dante Martin. We didn't get to see the double springboard moonsault this time, but I do like that ending. It was a pretty good ending because it looked like he was about to get hit with the big finisher. So after the match, Nick immediately attacks Dante. Remember, he just got hit with a roll up. That was all. So Nick Comoroto just gets up, hits Dante Martin. QT, meanwhile, takes out Matt Sydal. And then Fuego del Sol makes the save with a chair. So if you remember from last week's Dark, QT asked Fuego to join the factory. So I wasn't quite sure if Fuego was going to turn on Matt and Dante here or not. But Fuego sends the factory packing, helps Dante Martin up, and the segment ends. So no heel turn here by Fuego. It seems like that would have been a good idea. I mean, a good I guess you don't want a heel turn on. You want to wait for like a Rampage or something for that kind of thing to happen. So maybe it'll still happen. So that was our final match in Universal Studios. All that's left is the main event from Rev Pro in the UK over the weekend. AEW All Atlantic first ever title match. I mean, title defense by anybody, but here by Pac, the first ever champion, against Shota Umino, who both these men had great showings at Forbidden Door, and we last saw Shota Umino get a fireball to the face from Jericho. So, all right, like I said, we've just finished the Universal Studios portion of Dark. And we've also seen the Thunder Rosa Mio Yamashita match. But I haven't mentioned that up until this point. But this episode of Dark clocks in at a beefy 1 hour, 50 minutes. And since there's no commercials, that's even longer than a Dynamite if you cut the commercials out of Dynamite. So, but I will never, ever complain about too much wrestling if it's good. And this episode has been great. So it's time for our main event. And oh, yeah, there's still 35 minutes left in Dark. So strap in. This is about to be an epic main event. It ends up being pretty good. I don't know if I would throw around the word epic. maybe if the production, I'm a little bit of a snob, and that's why I don't watch too much independent wrestling, is I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to production values. So kind of shoddy camera work and hard to see this match. But again, no complaints from me from the fact that we get to see it. I love that we get to see stuff like this. Let me get a quick drink. I'm really struggling today. All right, so Pac's about to make his first defense and the first ever defense for anybody for the AEW All Atlantic title. And here in Pac's home country of England. So this match took place Sunday, July 10th in Sheffield, England for the Rev Pro promotion. That's the same one that you might have seen Will Ospreay holding the heavyweight title for, the British heavyweight title for Rev Pro. So that's where this event is. And this is the main event of that card there Sunday night in Sheffield. Aussie Open, who we've seen on Dynamite and Rampage lately. We're in the semi-main event in a British Tag League match. The match before that featured Ricky Knight Jr. That's the younger brother of Paige from WWE, and Ricky's been really tearing it up lately. I've yet to ever see one of his matches, but I've been hearing great things about Ricky Knight Jr., Paige's younger brother. So it's only a matter of time before we start seeing and hearing even more about him. He's only 22 years old. So anyway, that's just those were the only really names I recognize from the Rev Pro promotion. I've looked at their cards before, and I've been kind of turned off about how little of the names I knew. I know that you can only find names by just, you know what I mean? Like, you always had to learn about everybody the first time. So maybe that's no excuse to not follow Rev Pro. But like I said, if I add anything to what I watch, it's going to be Stardom and Tokyo Joshi Pro. Anyway, this is the first time that Pac and Shota Umino will ever be in the ring together. Shota Umino comes out first, and I'm getting a good look at the arena and stuff that we're in. The Tokyo Joshi Pro event definitely looked bigger and better than this Rev Pro event. But maybe this was just a spot show for Rev Pro. We can't really. Maybe they have bigger shows and stuff like that. So this is only one-on-one example. Anyway, the crowd chants for Shota as so I'm interested to see if they'll root for Shota over the hometown Pac, or at least home country Pac. Shota fist bumps the whole front row all the way around, and he's carrying a Moxley leather jacket. So John Moxley was Shota Umino's mentor in the past over in New Japan Pro Wrestling, his sensei. And hopefully Shota is able to join AEW at some point and then even join the Blackpool Combat Club. That would be amazing. So Pac comes out, the huge cheers here, and maybe Regal is going to ask Pac how maybe when Pac comes back from this, Regal will find Pac backstage at Dynamite this week and ask if he thinks like if he should bring Shota into the Blackpool Comic Club. That's a legit thing that could happen. So Pac then comes out, the huge cheers. Looks like either both men will be cheered or they want Pac, but Pac does a good job of being a heel and getting them to boo him, but there's still, the crowd is pretty split throughout the entire one. So this definitely, the production styles and stuff look like an indie show from 2003, maybe the equivalent of like an NWA Wildside or FIP, but with HD cameras. Of course there wasn't HD in 2003. So all three venues on Dark tonight had women ring announcers. We never it was Dasha. So we had the Japanese woman in for the Joshi Pro one. We had Dasha for the Universal Studios, and then now we have this English woman here who's definitely the worst of the three. Her voice is way too high pitched and annoying for my taste. We get a big AEW chant from the crowd here in England at a Rev Pro event, which was cool to hear, especially when I wonder if they told them or not, but I doubt they knew that this was going to be shown on AEW Dark. So Pac is definitely eating up the cheers from his hometown or home country crowd here. Shota Umino, I looked it up. He's almost at 50 matches in Rev Pro. So I'm thinking he's definitely probably getting close to being done with his excursion there. So Shota will maybe move back to New Japan after that, but there's definitely a chance that they can go on a second excursion, and I would love that to be AEW. So the crowd is singing a football chant for Pac, based on Pac's nickname. You could probably guess what they were chanting. Taz does a good job explaining the whole excursion system in Japan, and not just New Japan, but all of Japan. And it's not a recent thing. This has been going on all the way back for years and years and years. That's how we got like the Great Muta in so many of the territorial, or the different territories, I should say, back in the 80s and stuff. Um, Long story short, with the whole excursions, when each company trains their Japanese wrestlers and stuff, you go through a certain amount of training where you're not going to lose. You're going to lose every single match unless you're fighting another young guy. And then once you eventually graduate from the dojo, they send them out to one of their partnership promotions. So Rev Pro being a partner, or AEW here, or CMLL in Mexico, where they will send a lot of their junior heavyweights so that they can go get some lucha libre training. What this creates, in essence, is everybody has the same foundation and base, and they definitely beat the crap out of them and make sure they're tough and loyal and all that kind of stuff before ever graduating from the dojo. And then they all go out and learn different styles from the countries they go to and the people they interact with. That creates this whole thing where everybody in Japan isn't the same style and isn't having the same training. They have the same base training, but then go out and learn different things, develop gimmicks, characters, and move sets based upon where they go. So great system that Japan has. Love it, love it, love it. I would love AEW to try something similar eventually and have their own dojo. But we do have a dojo here in America now. It's the New Japan Strong Dojo in Los Angeles, where Shibata is the sensei. And definitely, if AEW continues their partnership with New Japan, I'm assuming they could even maybe send like a Nick Wayne to the who's already signed an AEW contract at 16 years old, and maybe they could send him to the dojo for a little bit of training before coming to AEW around his 18th birthday or something. So definitely stuff to think about. Let's get back to this match though. Or I'm not even quite we never even started the match, so um, this is going to be a good one. So strap in. Um, So Shota takes down Pac right at the start of the match, and making Pac bail from the ring. Pac then ends up throwing Shota into the barricade to take control. So he kind of baited him in there. That's kind of a theme throughout this match. Is Pac is successful baiting Shota in multiple times throughout this match. So Pac slows the pace down now, as we already know from looking at the length of the rest of the episode of Dark here. This is going to be a long one. Pac plays up to the crowd, who are just having a great time. Sounds like the crowd at Rev Pro is having an awesome time. Pac goes then to the top rope, purposely takes long getting up and waiting there to bait Shota in. Pac immediately slips out onto the apron and flips over the back of Shota, kind of like how the silly string is done. But then Pac runs right into a slam from Shota right after that. So Shota might have got baited, but he has the ability to get out of situations. Shota then hits a running, diving European uppercut, a little bit of that excursion stuff. Maybe someone that went to Japan isn't going to have the European uppercut in their arsenal, but someone that went to Britain here is going to have the European uppercut in their move set. See how that kind of works out. So anyway, Pac gets sent into the barricade, and the cameramen are really struggling here. Multiple cameramen are struggling getting a good shot here, which again, I'm kind of a snob when it comes to production values. That's why I don't watch a ton of indie wrestling, but I understand, like, if you don't have money, you don't have money. So Shota then hits Pac into all sides of the barricade, which gets the crowd super loud. Shota hits a pretty good looking springboard DDT, but nobody hits that smoother than Frankie Kazarian. So I'm only ever going to compare it to that when I see that move. Pac then kicks out at 2 and rolls out of the ring. More football singing chants from the crowd now. Great atmosphere here with the UK crowd. Then Shota throws Pac into the ring, but Pac rolls right out the other side. Pac is hurting, so Shota throws him back in, but when Pac is able to bait Shota again, so by staying in the ring and then baiting him in with an eye rake, and then washes Shota's face with his boot. Pac has the upper hand again, then hits after a snapmare, a nasty looking knee drop across the mouth of Shota. That looked great. Pac's now working a chin lock, and the crowd rallies behind Shota. Pac is keeping using all of the 5 count whenever Shota gets a rope break on moves. This is about the 3rd time that Pac's really keeping that in for the almost getting himself disqualified, because I don't think the belt changes on disqualification. So Pac didn't even care if the ref disqualified him or not. So it was really keeping those in. This goes along the lines of getting the crowd to boo Pac eventually throughout this match. Pac now standing on Shota's head while laughing as if you didn't already think, I want you guys to boo me. Pac does that. Pac then hits a haluva kick in the corner. The crowd's now rallying behind Shota, but Pac hits another big kick. This makes the crowd get a ton of boos. Now got him in the palm of his hand. So Shota hits a kick to buy some time to recover after this, but Pac's up first. Shota is able to block the next strike and then hit 4 more European uppercuts in a row. Then a back body drop, just a backdrop by Shota while maintaining wrist control. Shota then hits or locks in a double key wrist lock. Pac's able to get to the ropes. Clean break here from Shota. He's not fighting fire with fire. Shota wants to win honorably. So Shota then does the Moxley shoulder wiggle a little bit later on while running outside the ring for a shotgun drop kick into the barricade. That was pretty cool. And cool to see the Moxley Sensei Moxley here being represented with the mannerisms and that leather jacket he brought out earlier. So Shota did. Back in the ring now, Pac kicks out of a fisherman suplex. We got dueling chants for both men now. Pac hits some nasty spin kicks to the gut, multiple in a row. Then a kick to the head of Shota. Pac's now going up to the top and hits a nice shotgun drop kick. Taz now sings along with the crowd as they're singing along. That was pretty funny. Taz and Excalibur were great tonight, all night. Pac then takes time to recover while letting Shota recover as well. Then they exchange forearms. This lasts for a long time here. Shota then starts to hit multiple, then charges in. But Pac springs Shota off the ropes off his charge into a beautiful snap suplex. Great looking stuff. Then they kick each other in the head a few more times until Shota hits a really good looking vertebraker, the strong zero from Trent Beretta. Pac's now thinking about rolling out of the ring again, but changes his mind when Shota was a little slow to capitalize. So Shota charges in with a big kick. Then goes up top, but it looks like Shota might have been playing possum as Shota drop kicks Pac off the top rope. Really high extension, great drop kick. Shota now hits a terrible looking not terrible. It was okay. I just meant to say the word tornado DDT. It wasn't anything amazing, but it wasn't terrible. My bad. So Shota hits a tornado DDT into a brain buster for a 2 count. A good flurry there. I like the brain buster was much better. Shota's now mad, but stays focused right on and hits another move. It's a hanging reverse DDT as the crowd gets really loud now. Shota's firing up. He was looking to end it. Pac then sandbags the next move and the counter, the Death Rider, and a great pinning counter next where Shota gets the better of it for a 2 count. They were going back and forth on pinning attempts. Right after that, Shota looks for the Death Rider again, but Pac counters out of it, then locks in the Brutalizer on a standing Shota. So basically from the position that you would normally go for a crucifix pin, Pac locks in the Brutalizer on a standing Shota who falls to the mat. Pac locks in the Brutalizer deeper, forcing Shota Umino to tap out. Great match here. Awesome stuff. Your winner by submission and still AEW All Atlantic Champion, Pac. And great match. Hopefully Shota can join AEW and Blackpool Combat Club in the future. And it looks like Pac's about to talk to the crowd, but we fade to black. And I look over. There's still 8 minutes left in this video for the dark video on YouTube, which is pretty weird. So after an ad for Dynamite Fighter Fest Week 1, which is this Wednesday, July 13th, we go to the Control Center with Tony Schiavone. So the only thing I can think of is as to why the Control Center would have been tacked on at the end here is maybe they didn't want to spoil how long that main event match was going to last. So you didn't know exactly when it was going to end, which if that was the case, that's a pretty cool idea. Because we normally don't care if it's just one of those dark matches or whatever. But to me, I guess it doesn't affect. That's the only thing I can think of though. Anyway, I was gonna preview Dynamite, and then we've got some matches announced for Rampage as well. So I was gonna finish this review with a preview of Dynamite anyway. So let's just kind of go through what we see here on the Control Center with Tony Schiavone. And Dynamite Fighter Fest Week 1 will be live Wednesday, July 13th, 2022 from Savannah, Georgia. This will be AEW's first time in Savannah. And I heard Jim Cornette say a few months ago, Savannah, Georgia got brought up, and Jim Cornette said that NWA could never draw big crowds there in Savannah, Georgia. So let's see if the next generation of people from Savannah grew up wrestling fans. So we're going to see the Real Americans, We the People, Teammates Collide on Dynamite, as Claudio Castagnoli will make his debut against Jake Hager. So that's formerly Cesaro versus Jack Swagger. Those two last fought on WWE main in a one-on-one match anyway in WWE main event on 2015. Claudio won that match, and I would love to see an appearance from Dutch Mantel, which was their manager in the Real Americans. Jericho could even throw a fireball in Dutch Mantel's face and then claim that he burned off Dutch Mantel's mustache, his Yosemite Sam looking mustache. So that would be a cool. I of course these two did. I wouldn't hold my breath, but these two did meet inside the two cage double ring, of course, of blood and guts just 2 weeks ago, and that's pretty much what's setting up this match now. They had plenty of interaction in that match, Claudio and Jake Hager did. So Tony Schiavone says it'll be a collision between two of the biggest and best in the world. I don't know about that. Like, they're not even that big, either of them, and Jake Hager's not that great. So anyway, other than that, it should be a good match. But there's no way Jake could win unless the Jericho Appreciation Society help, which could happen. You never know. They could just want to get Claudio a loss right away. Sometimes people do that. If you don't want to have a whole story about a winning streak, then it's kind of easy to get or the easiest way to avoid, if you don't want to have a winning streak type thing for someone when they first start out, is to have them lose a match. So I think maybe Jake Hager beating Claudio here with cheating and stuff wouldn't be the end of the world. It might even be a better way to go about the story. Then we don't need to worry about a Claudio streak. Um, but yeah, also on Dynamite, which I'm looking forward to that match. It's not going to be like a classic, but I think Claudio can drag a really good match out of Jake here. It's probably going to be one of Jake Hager's best matches in a long time. Maybe the last great match that he'll ever have. Not to dog on him too much, but anyway, also on Dynamite on Wednesday, we'll probably be in the main event. Will be a triple or nothing. I don't know what that name means, but I think it'll be setting up the ROH match later. So I'll explain that at the end. But right now, triple or nothing doesn't mean anything other than it's a triple threat. AEW World Tag Team Title defense here by the Young Bucks against both Swerve in Our Glory and Team Taz. So those two teams have been feuding with each other nonstop for months. Been a really good feud. So now they both go over here and fight with the Young Bucks. Remember, Swerve and Our Glory and Team Taz had another triple threat match, but they both failed to win the titles from Jurassic Express in that. So I'm assuming they're both going to fail to win the titles again in this match, but it should be epic. I'm really looking forward to this one. Imagine the Beal that Keith Lee will be able to do on one of the Young Bucks. And I even brainstormed a little. Imagine this, if you will. Keith Lee Beals Nick Jackson, who somehow is able to fly right into a Meltzer driver that Matt had on Swerve, and then that's how the match ends. Think about how sick that would be. But anyway, I assume the Bucks will win because we're seemingly setting up a quadruple or nothing match at All Out against the Bucks and FTR for 4 titles at winner take all 4 titles, quadruple or nothing. Which is why this is called triple or nothing for no reason, just so that we can go all the way to quadruple or nothing. So anyway, that doesn't take anything away from my excitement in this match, knowing that I'm pretty sure the Young Bucks will win. Still should be a great match. Tony says the Bucks became the first two-time champs when they beat Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. So speaking of Luchasaurus, uh, he'll be in action against a mystery opponent on Dynamite. Hopefully a better opponent than um, Serpentico ended up being. Jim Cornette made a pretty good point about how it was kind of awkward for not only was Luchasaurus fighting, it was almost like a comedy guy. So hopefully Luchasaurus can fight someone maybe like a JD Drake. JD Drake's pretty big and it has some pretty big moves, but still it would be better someone better than you know what I mean? Or I think that'd be a perfect choice, to be honest. We saw on Monday on Elevation a great match between JD Drake and Dante Martin. So don't sleep on JD Drake. Anyway, also along with Luchasaurus, of course, will be Christian Cage, and we will hear again from Christian. So I can't wait to see who's going to catch the next stray from Christian. Just some of the best heel promos in the business right now, especially with MJF being gone. So and don't forget that MJF called out Christian for when he was talking about in his pipe bomb promo, all the old timers taking money like Christian and stuff. So at some point we're probably going to get an epic promo battle between Christian and MJF, which is going to be great. But yeah, that'll happen tomorrow on Rampage or Wednesday. It's already Wednesday for me here. So Luchasaurus will be there with Christian Cage and have a mystery opponent. We'll also hear from Jericho. So 2 talking segments are planned with 2 of the biggest heels in the company. Jericho, who helped out Ruby Soho last week, now has to fight Eddie uh, a week from this Dynamite at Fyter Fest Week 2 in a barbed wire death match. So we'll hear what Jericho has to say about that. And I'm sure we'll see Eddie come out at some point, maybe another promo battle or something. Who knows? In a huge match in the women's division, 2 of the best records in all of 2022 face off when Anna Jay fights Serena Deeb. Deeb seemingly is in line for an ROH title shot at Death Before Dishonor, so this should be very interesting. So maybe Mercedes will cost Deeb this match. Who knows? Since both of them are um, not gonna want to have to take the loss here. But then Tony tells us it's already been signed at the ROH pay-per-view Death Before Dishonor. It will be Deeb versus Mercedes Martinez for the ROH women's title. So I somehow missed that info unless it was only on social media. But then Tony tells us Savannah is super close to Anna Jay's hometown. So, wow, that makes this match even more interesting. So, Anna Jay will have the hometown advantage on Dynamite against Serena Deeb. And this will be the first ever meeting between Serena Deeb and Anna Jay. Anna Jay is she had a really bad match on a week ago on Elevation. The match on Elevation this week was better. So I don't see any reason that you should have Anna Jay beat Deeb, even if it is her hometown. Deeb is 10 times the better wrestler than Anna Jay, and it's hard to compare the two. I think Deeb's been wrestling just as many years as Anna Jay's been alive. So we'll see where that goes. Like I said, maybe Mercedes is going to cost Serena Deeb the match, and that's how they get out of there with a hometown win or whatever, which would put some heat on that match, I would think. The strangest match announced all week is the new TNT champion Wardlow will make his first title defense on Dynamite against Orange Cassidy of all people. Now, this is a huge shocker because how the heck are they going to book this one? 2 of your most popular stars against each other here. How the heck are they going to do it? So, if Wardlow doesn't power Symphony this man in 1 minute, I'm going to be mad, but I doubt that's going to happen. So I'm not going to hold my breath. But the crowd might actually turn on Wardlow if he power bombs Symphonies within 1 minute and beats Orange Cassidy. I could see the crowd booing that pretty heavily, which I assume Tony Khan and AEW does not want. So I'm assuming we'll get some lame fake kicks and some no hands offense for a while. Before you blast me for not liking fun in my wrestling, I can handle some fun, and I can always handle it when it doesn't involve like the person in the match doing fake looking things, because the one thing you don't want wrestling to look is fake. In my opinion, that's like the most important thing, which is why I love catch as catch, stand can style grappling and stuff like that. I would prefer that over the lucha libre per se, because I hate contrived looking moves where it looks like you have to help the person out. But anyway, I did say, if you've been following along with all my reviews, at Forbidden Door, Orange Cassidy had a fantastic match against Will Ospreay. Loved it. But I also said, if you overexpose Orange Cassidy right after this, I'm going to be right back to hating him. And sure enough, this will be the fourth Orange Cassidy match in an 18 days since Forbidden Door happened. So I was completely over Orange Cassidy halfway through the Rampage match against Tony Nese on Friday, especially with Danhausen joining Orange Cassidy seemingly as his lawyer now. So made it even doubly annoying. Like I said, I can stand like backstage segments or anything that doesn't involve a match when it comes to comedy, but that kind of comedy was just a little too much, especially when it comes to Orange Cassidy. It's the same one-line joke over and over. And like I said, I enjoyed the match against um, Will Ospreay, but overexposure, five matches in a 19-day span. That's too much for this one joke over and over kind of thing. And so I absolutely hate this match announcement, but I guess I'll just have to wait and see what happens. So Tony Schiavone says Orange is tied for the most wins in AEW as a singles wrestler who's never held a title. So that's a pretty interesting stat. Unfortunately, I would have loved to know who's tied with him, but we'll never know, I guess. Tony also mentions that Orange hurt his shoulder the last time these two were in the same match, Wardlow and Orange Cassidy. It was the Face of the Revolution ladder match that Wardlow won, and Orange Cassidy hurt his shoulder and was out for a month or two. So they've never had a one-on-one fight, but they have been in two battle royals along with that multi-person Face of the Revolution ladder match. So if you remember all the way back in 2020, in December of 2020, I think it was, Orange Cassidy eliminated Wardlow to co-win the Dynamite diamond ring battle. So Orange eliminated Wardlow all the way back in December of 2020 is what I'm trying to get out. And this was the same show that Sting debuted and Kenny Omega won the AEW world title. So think back to that. It was the Winter is Coming 2020. Now one of the late or one of the last announcement or late announced matches, so like it wasn't announced last week, that I was super excited. And I have heard, I think Excalibur said on Dark that this match will kick off Dynamite. This match will start Dynamite. It's an eliminator match for the interim AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley will fight Konosuke Takeshita, and who lost a tough but great match on Rampage against Moxley's best friend Eddie Kingston. So this will be a perfect way to kick off the 2-week, 4-night Fyter Fest event. Jon Moxley, we're told, did want this match to be for the title, but AEW said no, since Takeshita just lost to Eddie Kingston in his last match. So we're also told Moxley has 17 straight singles wins in a row for AEW. Pretty impressive. So both of them are going to be coming into that match a little bit banged up. Moxley with a tough match against Brody King last week, and of course that Eddie Kingston beating Takeshita. Tony also reminds us, which is good because I completely forgot this happened, that Darby Allin and Sting now seemingly have something going on with the House of Black. So we'll see that story continue as Tony reminds us about it. So we'll see something about that. Maybe setting up a match for week 2, the next week of Dynamite, week 2 of Fyter Fest. So maybe some kind of Darby Allin and Sting versus Malachi Black and either one. Is Murphy out injured right now? I think maybe he is. Not like a serious one. So other than that, we're also told there's some matches for Rampage already announced. We'll see an ROH world title match on Rampage this Friday. So again, they're going big with these Fyter Fest shows. After Jonathan Gresham, if you didn't see on last week's Rampage, joined the Tully Blanchard Enterprises and turned heel, leaving his partner at the time, Lee Moriarty, out there alone against the Gates of Agony. Jonathan Gresham is the ROH World Champion and now has turned heel, joining Tully Blanchard Enterprises. That's some big news there. So now this week on Rampage, Lee Moriarty will get a shot at Jonathan Gresham's ROH World title. I would not put the chances of Lee Moriarty winning this title at zero, winning this match at zero, because maybe it could just be setting up a rematch at Death Before Dishonor. So it's not super likely, but I'm not going to say that Lee Moriarty has zero chance of winning the title here from Jonathan Gresham, which would be kind of be a damper on Grisham's heel turn. So again, probably not likely, but it's not zero. Also on Rampage, we'll see the Lucha Brothers versus Private Party, who we just saw return to AEW after a little short break here on this episode of Dark that we reviewed. We didn't get to see too much out of Private Party, but that was a month ago. So we'll see what Private Party's been up to. We haven't really seen them do anything in a month. So this should be a good match since the Lucha Brothers are involved, and maybe Private Party can go back to having some good matches. We did hear on BTE that Matt Hardy is super repenting and stuff, blaming all the bad things that happened to him and whatnot, and their tag team and whatnot. It sounds weird when I say it like that, but Matt's blaming all of it on himself, and then is including screwing over Private Party, and mentioned that Matt Hardy feels like he screwed up Private Party. So potentially we could see Matt Hardy have something to do in that Rampage match with Lucha Underground and Private Party. Who knows? Also on Rampage, we'll hear from the Gun Club, and we're told explaining why they turned on the Acclaim. So that instantly made me remember, holy crap, I cannot wait. How good is the music video for the diss track that the Acclaimed is going to do when they're going to destroy verbally the Gun Club and have a music video for it? So I wonder when we'll see that. Maybe the Gun Club versus Acclaimed will be a match for All Out, but that's pretty far away. So I'm assuming we don't have to wait that long for that match. Maybe even that'll be a Fyter Fest week 2 match. We won't have to wait long at all. So that'll be interesting. I can't wait for that video anyway. I can't imagine the Gun Club's promo is going to be that great, but we'll have to wait and see. And then we already know the next week's main event. So week 2 of Fyter Fest on Dynamite, it will be a barbed wire death match. Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho. All other members of Jericho Appreciation Society suspended in a giant shark cage that we're told will be above the ring. This will coincide with Shark Week. So I see a lot of people upset with AEW having to promote Shark Week, but it's not like it's zombie or clowns, first of all. And everyone likes Shark Week, second of all. Sharks are cool, and they're like vicious fighters that tear people up. So third of all. So it's not the worst thing that could happen. What's the worst that could happen? Shark Boy making an appearance and drinking some clam juice. Me being a longtime TNA fan, I would love that. So, but I am just a tiny. I heard Steven Larson say this on Going in Raw, mention this, and I was already thinking this too. I am a little nervous of the thought of a giant shark cage and potentially falling. I don't want to wish that into the karma, but I'm not the first podcast to mention it. I am gonna sit through that Eddie Kingston Jericho match, depending on what this cage layout is and stuff. I might be a little bit nervous watching that match. So hopefully I don't want to even think of that terrible thought or image of what could happen. But I am an anxious person. I am the exact personality of Hangman Adam Page, almost to a T. So anyway, on that note, I'm gonna get going. Thanks for tuning in. This was a great, legendary, epic episode of AEW Dark. Pretty good, short but sweet episode of Hey EW with RJ City, special guests Nyla Rose and Vickie Guerrero. So that was cool as well. We got to see so much. They even showed us the control center on the same episode of Dark. So even gave us a good excuse to go over a preview. So I'll be back as soon as Dynamite ends to let you guys know what happened on Dynamite, and we'll come here and talk about it then. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great day until then, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.